Ulster today. My word, what a challenge they face. Can they live up to it? Well, the teams today, France, have been hit by injuries, suspensions and swine flu, but this is getting close to being a full-strength side that coach Bobby Golding names. Clint Greenshields at full-back, Thomas Bosk at standoff, two genuinely world-class players. And 5 of the 6 in the starting pack are from the Catalan Dragons. Team spirit and togetherness will be important when the going gets tough. Australia resting Billy Slater and Greg Inglis amongst others, but at the centre of things, Darren Lockyer and Jonathan Thurston will keep the heart beating healthy. Twins Brett Morris and Josh Morris in harness in the 3 quarters. It is a debut for Josh, and Robbie Farah comes in at hooker for Cameron Smith, the captain of the West Tigers, and you would have thought that 1 or 2 of those in the pack are playing for a place in that Four Nations final next week that we expect Australia to be involved in. And all of those interchanges we expect to see at some point today. A late change there. Villegas has come in, Constant Villegas, in place of Roman Gaglazio. Here we go. One of the greatest sporting upsets, or one of sport's great teams strutting their stuff. The next 80 minutes provides the answer. It's one to relish and one to look forward to, especially if you're a neutral, John Keir.
Certainly is, and a great occasion here in France. Very, very important the French set off at a great pace and show that intensity, but also important that once they show it in the early stages, they maintain it.
We're all breathless in anticipation. John Keir's simply breathless, having run 400 metres to get here and climbed some very high steps as well. Well done to him. 68 and still going strong. France looking to escape their own half here in the early stages. Just settling into this game, they hope, by getting through their sets of 6 without any unnecessary mistakes. Bosk with a boot, but it's collected easily enough by Kurt Gidley, who runs it back at that French line.
Yeah, very interesting first kick there from Thomas Bosk. Didn't put it into the air at all, just drilled it along the ground, obviously fully aware of Gidley's ability as a counter-attacking presence.
First touch then for the Aussies. Robbie Farah at dummy half, the West Tigers captain. His coach for both country and club is, of course, Tim Sheens. It's Hannant who's driven it in. Farah again. Little ball back on the inside. Here comes Sivanasiva. Sivanasiva with a drive. Trying to set up position.
Stand up! Hold!
6 tackle coming up. Here comes Farah again now. Thurston.
Okay.
Little kick, drag through. Clint Greenshields should have it covered. Oh! Well, he let it roll and roll and roll. And the dive from Morris. Josh Morris might just almost have got there, but it just rolled away from him in the end.
Yeah, great commitment there from Morris. A lovely kick, but perfectly judged from Greenshield. What a lovely little dab through from Thurston. Great enthusiasm in the chase, but Clint Greenshield just missed a goal there and shall we say, just got away with it.
Well, it was almost worth a video referee looking at that, wasn't it, you would have thought? Our referee today is from New Zealand, by the way, Leon Williamson. He refereed the England-France game, the very first match of this Four Nations at Doncaster. It's a multinational touch-judging team as well. Clint Sharrod, who is representing the English Super League, but is of course Australian, and Adam Byrne. Adam Byrne's from New Zealand on the other flank too. So early stages as the French look to offload. Bosk just gathering in after a little bit of untidiness. And here comes Kane Bentley from dummy half. Win with a kick away. It's going to fall neatly into the hands on that left-hand side of Morris, and a chance to bring it back again.
And that's the last thing France wanted. Thomas Bosk getting tackle on tackle number 5, because it leaves him with just the one kicking option of James Wynne, and he put boat to ball. It was quite an easy catch on the fly from for the Australian side.
Well, that's Gidley who's taken it in. Here comes Thurston, the scrum half. Now Farah moving it down that blind side. Sivanasiva. Hannant with a dummy run. Hindmarsh throws it wide. A little bit of a slip, which just gave the French a hint of an opportunity to pick things up. Instead, it's Michael Jennings, the man from Penrith, who's on his debut today, who smothers things for his team. Farah out from dummy half with a kick. It's a terrific kick as well, up to that try line. Nowhere to go. What a kick, what a chase. Well, the Aussies are at it again with their tactical kicking.
Well, that's been one of the features, I feel, of the Australian side throughout this Four Nations competition. They've got a vast array of kickers. That time it was Robbie Farrer who's operated from the dummy half roll. Beautiful kick, but once again it's the twins, it's the Morris twins. Great chase there. Pinned the French wingman there into his own in goal to earn a repeat set. The kicking game is absolutely first class from the green and golds.
And it means they've got another set now to really hammer this French line. Here comes Hannant, running it in and 25 yards away. Australia sniffing an early score here, less than 5 minutes played. Waterhouse. Here's Farrer. Looks to the right-hand side where Sivanasiva comes stepping back again. Farrer. Hannant's behind him, Thurston left to Lockyer, they've pulled in the defenders, Duport came racing in, and Duport's done well to actually win possession. There were two on his outside, but he stifled things and now he's picked up the ball.
Well, it was a chance he had to take. He really came in, did Duport, put the skill level of the Aussies under pressure there and came up with the ball in hand. So good piece of defensive wing play from Vincent Duport.
So it will be an encouraging feeling that the French are feeling just at the moment. It's a decent start. By Bentley, Kane Bentley that is. He's younger brother of Andrew Bentley, who's playing at loose forward today for the French. Here comes Six. Little chip over the top by Bosk. Greenshields is after it. It's been knocked on, has it? I think it was a knock-on in the first instance by Nathan Hindmarsh.
Yeah, well, that's what we highlighted prior to the game, this little kicking from Thomas Bosk to make it a contest, and it's off Clint Greenshields who's chasing, and that's forced the error. So the first turnover for the French in the Australian half. Lovely little kick there, and Hindmarsh it was who attempted to clean up that little challenge, but Greenshield put him in all sorts of pressure. And the reward is French head and feet in a pretty good field position.
Wynne puts it in and takes it out. Here comes Bosk. I have to say, looking at this French side, he is the standout player, isn't he? He and Clint Greenshields, the full-back. Up to dummy half moves Bentley. Now it's Artie Sheed. Good initial drive by him and the offload as well. It's Andrew Bentley. Australia under pressure. Only 15 yards from their own line. Kane Bentley again. Wynne with a dummy. It's clobbered a little high by Ryan Hoffman, which belatedly is given by the referee.
Yeah, offside, I believe, against the Australian side. And will he go for two, or will he keep the pressure on? And I personally, I'd keep the pressure on because it's very difficult to get to field position against Australia. And if you've got it, keep it and put them under pressure.
He's changing his hat.
Mark's up here, Kane on the line.
Oh no, he's not. I thought he was changing his hat for a moment there. Just having a little wipe of the brow.
I think it was a Trilby, Dave, was going for.
Wipes his brow before he takes the tap. Ferriol has driven it to within 5 yards. Here's Bentley now, Kane Bentley. Throws it back towards Wynne. Wynne onto Bosk. Bosk looking left, but the Australian cover is there in numbers. It's a wall of green and gold. Here's Greenshields. Illiam up. 3 tackles still to come here. And a very, very good position. Kane Bentley again. Waits and watches. Ferriol. Wynne. Quickly along the line. The gaps were opening. It needed a quicker pass. As it is, it's been lost and it's Thurston who has it.
Yeah, that was good online defence there by Australia. Really came up, took the space of the French attack, put them under pressure and came up with the ball. But interesting to see Australia now in the position of having to clear their own goal line.
It's a 59th meeting between these two as the Australians are given a penalty. Too much time after the tackle had been complete spent by the defending player.
Well, that's just made it very, very easy, hasn't it? But there's the half chance. And if he could have got that to go to hand to Greenshield, he did have players outside him. And as you see there, there's the wingman Morris who was there. So there's half a chance, not taken, and then they've really given the Australia the easy route out with that penalty.
Sivanasiva. He's not had the best of seasons. Petro Sivanasiva, a foot injury. Kept him out for an awful long time. Farah. Now it's on by Hoffman. 30 yards away. Here's Thurston. Hannant. He's doing a lot of running here. Ben Hannant, either as a ball carrier or as a dummy runner in these early stages. Thurston. Hindmarsh. Gathered in by those willing French defenders. Well, the Aussies have done better than England did last week in terms of keeping the Australians out in the opening minutes. 9 minutes played, but here comes trouble. Josh Morris caught in possession, and eventually the ball put out of play.
Well, that was a first-class cover tackle from Clint Greenshields, and you've got to admire the Australians for creating that half opening, but look at the cover there from Greenshields. Exemplary full-back play, and it puts Morris over the sideline. Absolutely superb, covered across, tracked the ball across, ball and all, over the sideline. First class.
So, full marks. Early stages, 10 minutes played, very nearly. I think Bobby Goulding will be very encouraged with what he's seeing.
I think he'd be very happy because the Australians have come here to play, there's no doubt about that, but the French have repelled at the minute.
Well, they'd have had Tim Sheens, their coach, his words ringing in their ears, won't they, the Aussies, because this lack of great consistency so far in this tournament. He wants to see a full 80-minute display of fluidity. 10 minutes down, but 70 still to come. It's still a gargantuan task ahead of the French here. Helped just a little with another penalty.
Yes, the second penalty that conceded by the Green and Golds, and once again interference at the ruck area, and again it's a midfield start for the French. So let's see what they can construct with this attacking set.
They'll be going in confidence with every passing moment as they gain another couple of yards inside Australian territory. Little dummy thrown by Ilima, and then he tries to take them on. It's Kane Bentley who's moved up to acting half. Ferriol. 3 Australian defenders willing and hungry for work, pulling him down. Here comes Bentley again now. Little skip away to his right-hand side. Bosk to win, who had to reach a little. Now Greenshields. Greenshields with a step off the left foot. Puts it back on the inside again, but Dupont is dragged down 10 yards away. But the French are getting closer here. Here comes Wynne again. Switches the angle of attack back to that right-hand side. And Ragan runs into another wall. 6 tackle is the next. Last little opportunity in this set here for the French. Wynne throws it inside. Bosk with a kick over the top. It's been watched ever so carefully by Jared Hayne. Collects it safely too.
Yeah, he really did do excellent work there, Hayne, and looking to bring the ball back into play quickly with a quick play of the ball. And Ollie Elima, the captain there, giving a cheap penalty away, which I'm sure that coach Bobby Goulding won't be that happy about. But again, a great piece of attacking play. It was like watching Catalan Dragon there with the 2 halfbacks finding Greenshields as the backman, and obviously push on the outside from the 3/4.
Clint Sharrett, the linesman on this near side, the touch on this near side. It's marking the position for the Australians to start this particular set of 6 inside French territory. But 0-0, and with 12.5 minutes played, that's okay. Here comes Hayne. People are still flooding in here, by the way. There's a reputation at this stadium for crowds to arrive late. Here's Thurston again with a flat ball to Hannant. His progress is stopped immediately. But it's a good position, central, 20 yards out, options right and left. It's Lockyer to the left-hand side. Trying to bully their way through, but Hoffman is going to be put down. Robbie Farah jogging up to dummy half again. Here comes Farah. This is Lockyer now. Lockyer inside to Hannant. Hannant really putting the work in, isn't he? Ben Hannant in these early stages, the Dally M prop of the year in Australia. Thurston no again. Lockyer, oh, it's a drop, a juggle, and it's French possession. Bosk in on it.
Well, you've got to admire the French online defence. They are putting pressure on the Australians. But I'll tell you, Tim Sheens, if he's thinking about the final next week, he'll be very, very disappointed with the online attack of the Australians. They just aren't looking crisp and creating the chances. I thought they looked better, actually, Dave, last week against England. But there's Lockyer with the error, and then they've compounded that with another penalty.
Well, the tap restart for the French on the halfway line. And this absolute cascade of points which we were expecting going against the French has yet to start, if it starts. They're enjoying themselves here as Artie Shi takes it in and down. Kane Bentley meandering into dummy half again. As his brother Andrew. Same headgear, same outcome. Here's Kane Bentley. Little chip through by Bosco, it's chased hard as well. Gidley's across there. He wants to keep him playing, does do so despite the chase. A claim there is a knock on as well.
I like the little bit of play there. The good end of set there from Thomas Bosco. He had a four-man short side. He knew the wingman was up there and just drilled it behind them, and a pretty good chase, although Gidley did well cleaning up.
This is Jennings.
Third, clear. Hold.
Here's Robbie Farah, the acting half. Australia with a lot of work to do again here from inside their own 20 metres. There is a mathematical possibility they might not make it, of course, to the Four Nations. It's an improbable one. It requires them losing here and England beating New Zealand by a certain scoreline.
Yeah, once again, a cheap penalty. Ragan that time interference. It really is, as Mr. Williamson is making sure that he has a clean ruck area, which as the game progresses will make for a quicker play of the ball.
Here comes Simon Asiba.
Hold. Go. Two.
Hoffman.
Move, 8. Come on, 8.
30 yards out.
Third. Move.
Progress being kept to a minimum at the moment. This is Thurston. Here's Hindmarsh. He's a lone figure though, as he takes it in and finds himself consumed by French defenders. And again it's lost. Knocked on. Another handling error. They're just not clicking at all, the Australians, so far.
No, but that was a forced handling error, wasn't it? It was Olivier Ellimer. He played at the arm, which is a smart piece of play, and that forced the error. So rather than that being an Australian unforced error, the French really did put the pressure on from marker defence position, and I'm sure that coach Tim Sheens won't be that happy, whereas captain Ollie Ellimer will be absolutely delighted.
Get up quicker, mate, all right?
First meeting between these two back in 1938 here in Paris. The Australians winning that day by 35 points to 6. Don't forget, by the way, England-New Zealand later on. You can see highlights of that here on the BBC, on BBC Two tomorrow at 3 p.m. English Rugby League fans keeping their fingers crossed. And there's live commentary on England-New Zealand second half on 5 Live Sports Extra, and that begins at 7 p.m. this evening.
Hold. Markers.
Here's Bentley, Kane Bentley, now Wynne. France picking up a position inside the Aussie half. If you just went on first half performances, they're having a stormer in the Four Nations. They played very well against New Zealand, and they were beating England in the first halves they played so far. And again, the pattern is repeating itself here.
It is, but I'd have been a little more disappointed with the end of that set from Bentley. Really, when you're in midfield, you need to turn the ball over towards the Australian goal line. If you keep turning over in midfield, at some stage, the green and goals will get you.
Third. Move.
Here's Farah.
Get your hands out of there, Oliver.
Slow progress being made again.
4.
Waterhouse put down on the halfway line.
Go with it, go with it, go with it.
Lockyer, good hands back on the inside. Here comes Kurt Gidley. But they are out wide for what is a 6th tackle now. Farah just looking for the clever kick, which is being chased hard by Hayne. And Greenshields having in the end to just shuffle it out of play.
Again, a lovely little short side kick, so the wingman was up and it allowed Hayne really to put pressure on Greenshield, but Greenshield in perfect position, just shepherding the ball over the dead ball area. I think they've gone to the video referee just to check on the restart, but there isn't much doubt in my mind that Greenshield took the ball over the dead ball line, and that means it's a dropout from underneath the French post.
Well, was there a knock on though by Jared Hayne here?
It's a great kick. It's certainly asking problems. No, for me, he's just taking the ball over. Haynes does play at the ball, but he's trying to force it down, but it's Greenshield that puts it over the dead ball line, so it's got to be a tap 20.
Thanks, mate. Hold up, let me put time on.
It is a tap 20. You changed your mind mid-sentence there, didn't you, John Keir? Don't think we didn't notice. It was played at by Hayne. That's the decision of the video referee. Ian Smith today, by the way, is a video referee. Leon Williamson of New Zealand, the man in the middle. Mentioned, by the way, of Ray Tennant, who's the match assessor here today. We don't normally mention the match assessors, but he walked into a solid window earlier and banged his head, which didn't do much for the reputation of referees. But the French are doing a lot for their reputation here, down this left-hand flank. Villegas eventually put down. Here's Matan. Kane Bentley, the man at dummy half. Here comes Ferriol. Good handling again, and confident handling across that right-hand side. Tuchagas is eventually hauled in.
Five coming.
Matan driving it to within 11 yards. Six tackle is the next. Bentley, now Bosk. Bosk has a look, throws it quickly to Elima. Elima keeps it alive. Greenshield likewise. Bosk with a kick in. Couldn't quite get purchase on it. Jennings picks it up. Australia back in possession.
Inventive play though, wasn't it, there from the French? They're certainly not going to die wondering. They're taking the chances. There's lots of ball movement, and they are testing this Australian defence.
Well, remember the Welsh semi-final against Australia in the World Cup 2000? Justin Morgan was a star of that particular day, and you're seeing a similar game here today, aren't you, Justin?
They've started fantastically, the French. Very impressed with their willingness to move the ball from left to right, and also when they've been defending, they've been right up in the faces. They've forced a couple of errors from the Aussies, and these number of penalties here, we see another one given by the referee. It's helping the French because they're not having to go continuously back-to-back sets of six. While they have to defend another set of six, they'll get a couple of seconds to have a breather. So these penalties are playing well and truly into their hands. So they'll get a great deal of confidence in the first 20 minutes of this game so far.
Well, we have to underline there's an awful long way to go. 60 minutes still to go. 20 minutes played 0-0, which is good. But once the dam bursts, there might be a flood of Australian tries. That's the worry for the French camp at the moment, with the Australians looking to try and get a bit of momentum here. Try and get a bit of fluidity into their game, which is lacking at the moment. Hannant again, used as a dummy runner. Out it comes to Lockyer. Lockyer throws it behind the line. Jennings takes it on. This will be the first try. And it's the man on his debut, Michael Jennings, from Penrith, who flies in. Or has he? Because the referee, I think, is looking at the grounding here.
I think he is looking at the grounding, but from the naked eye, it certainly looked a very, very well-worked try indeed, that Michael Jennings obviously took full advantage of at the very end. But it's just to make sure that it's a legal grounding. He hasn't lost the ball whilst he's putting the ball down. That's a try. There's downward pressure there. Again, it just a little dummy there, which the French wingman bought hook, line and sinker. And for me, there's a try. Not there's much doubt about that. Video referee Ian Smith, I'm sure will relay that to Mr. Williamson.
Leon Williamson awaits the decision.
Yes, thanks.
Well, they're also looking for an obstruction here as well, a little earlier in the build-up. That's why we've not seen the decision just yet.
Well, here's the shift. It's the hooker to Lockyer. He's going through. There's no obstruction in my mind there. It's just simply lots of options. Lead runners there. He picked the back man out. The back man was Michael Jennings. He'd got the skill and ability to do a little bit of a show and go, a dummy, and cross wide out. And for me, there should be no problems. Lovely passing there to Lockyer. That's what they're looking at. If he's taking anybody out, he took no one out whatsoever. And it's that he picked the back man up, and that's a pretty good try. A well-worked try, very well executed indeed, and Tim Sheens will be happy about that piece of online attack.
Just to say, we're in the hands of our French colleagues, Orange TV today, and I think there might have been a little lack of understanding as to what exactly they were looking for here. The obstruction first, and then the grounding, but I think we got them in the end.
They're going back to the grounding, I believe. And if you put the ball over the whitewash, it's a try. And I think if this isn't a try, they're looking for reasons to disallow it. For me, it's got to be a try.
Well, I think we've finally got our decision here. Referee still waits, and we all wait. Michael Jennings, has he scored a try on his debut? We think he has. All we need now is confirmation from someone. Somewhere, please. Well, eventually we have the confirmation that a try has been given. Michael Jennings, a try scorer, and smiles at last from the Australian camp.
It took some getting there, Dave, but we got there in the end, and it was the right decision, no doubt about that. And it's up to now Jonathan Thurston to attempt to make the 4 into 6. A pretty tough kick.
Well, the French resistance has been pretty good so far, but finally breached with that score from Michael Jennings. And Thurston with a chance to add the 2.
Thank you. Messi? Yep, no worries.
So Thurston, the man from the North Queensland Cowboys, with a chance to make this his 140th point in just 16 test matches. It's a low trajectory, and it's just gone wide, so it remains 4-0.
And what a good try this was. Darren Lockyer there popped the ball up perfectly. It's perfectly weighted for an outside shoulder line there from Jennings. Real good quality skill there, and a very good finish on his debut. Great way to start your Australian Test career.
It's another hold up here while we wait for the ball to reappear and for the French to start again. It's a test of character now, isn't it, for the French, having done so well. You know, just not wanting those memories of the last couple of weeks to come flooding back, of doing so well and then just subsiding. They'll want to keep it up here, keep that character going.
They certainly will. It's the seeds of doubt, isn't it? And they've just got to eliminate them, and the way you eliminate them is by going through the process of rugby league in a very intense manner, and that's really what the French need to do. They need to back up a good first 20 with another good 20.
Here comes Hindmarsh, just trying to battle and bruise his way through. 30 yards from his own line. Farah from dummy half. Again, it's a problem. A hand on the ball after the tackle was made, so the penalty goes Australia's way. Let's hear from Damien Johnson.
Well, a good try for Michael Jennings, but the conversation down here on the France bench is concerns over their own defensive alignment. They feel too many players got sucked out of position, allowing Jennings to go over for his first score.
That's a problem a few have had when they played against the Australian.
Yeah, I would agree with you, David. They won't be the first, and they'll by no means be the last.
Jared Hayne, the man at dummy half. He's had a really anonymous Four Nations, disappointing, and it's, you'd have thought, the position he's played in, really, isn't it? He's more used to playing at full-back, getting more sight of the ball. Well, not too much on the right-hand side of that Australian line.
When he played in the playoffs, it's as if he had a force field around him, but that's
here
great
they go,
play.
here they go. A little dummy by Gidley, and he might have spoilt the position here. He's claiming he got it down, but the referee on the spot says it was held up.
Well, it was good rugby league, that. Again, a big shift. Again, lots of lead runners and lots of people around the back. But I thought Gidley with the 3-on-1 there should have used the ball, straightened up and used the ball. He attempted to go over himself, claimed the try, but he didn't get it.
Shillington drives it in. You can see the line. That's how close they are. Picked up by Farah. Now it's Gidley again, looking to make amends. And again, he's very close, but not quite close enough. Here comes tackle 6. A little scoot from dummy half. Farah bounced, but he was short. And it's a handover.
Yeah, good work by the referee, Mr. Williamson, there from New Zealand. Who he didn't go to the video referee. He acted upon what he saw, but this really is a test of character for the French. They jammed into their own right-hand corner. How the heck do they clear their own goal line and get a good kick at the end of it? Well, here's your answer.
It's good of the Australians to let a New Zealander referee the game as well, isn't it? They didn't fancy him last week against England. Decided they wanted a full-time Super League referee. Here's Bentley. French looking to move it left, but it's held up in the arms of Eliama. Dimitri Pello from dummy half. He's got a bit of a scoot. He's a lad who grew up in Australia as well, Dimitri Pello, on the books of Cronulla and the Gold Coast at one stage without troubling the record keepers of either of those clubs.
Yeah, they'll not be happy how they cleared their own line there, though, the French, because they took it to a sideline and it ended up an indifferent kick with Bosk at dummy half, Greenshield kicking from first receiver, and that's why tackle one for Australia's 40 metres out from their own line, and it's an attacking set.
And they're looking to attack here, aren't they? Up towards the halfway line. Here comes Thurston now. Lockyer to his right. Claims by Tim Sheens that those two haven't really clicked so far in the competition. Hence he's going with them again today. Back on the inside by Jennings. Here's Farah. Lockyer. Waterhouse. Farah. This is Thurston. Throwing an outrageous dummy and then sliding through. And here's Farah in support. Australian defence, French defence rather, caught like statues momentarily. Lockyer, it's another try for Jennings, is it? Yes, it is. Bounces in. It's proving to be quite a debut for Michael Jennings. 2 tries in just a few minutes, and a debut to remember.
Yeah, and it's the pre-match predictions now started to come through. The Australians really taking a stranglehold with possession and field position, and ultimately the creating chances, and Jennings is finishing them. Real good pass selection from Darren Lockyer there. It was Thomas Bosk. He selected the wrong player to come in on, and it left Jennings with basically a clear run into the line. You saw there Bosk, he zeroed in on Hindmarsh. Jennings was given the space. Jennings took the space. He went over his second try in the 27th minute of the game.
Another kick here for Jonathan Thurston.
Well, it was Thurston really who created that try by taking the line on rather than just shipping the ball on a long shift. He just dummied and went through, and that caused a bit of readjustment in the French defence that they didn't quite manage to make.
Missed his first kick, Jonathan Thurston, from a similar position to this. That try also having been scored by the same player. Thurston settling back and sending it forward, and same result, just to the right-hand side of the upright. He just needs to alter it a little, doesn't he? But Australia still leading by 8 points to 0.
Well, he's a better kicker in the NRL, and it'll be a little disappointing that, because if Australia are to clinch this Four Nations title, you really need to be making your 4s into 6s and clocking those goal kicks over. But I'm sure Michael Jennings will be very happy indeed.
Say from Justin Morgan. Justin, what are you making of it now?
A lot's been said about the combinations of Lockyer and Thurston. What a good little piece of rugby league to watch there. The play before the try was scored, Thurston took the line on, made a half a break, then Lockyer stepped up, come up with a very, very selective pass for Jennings there. So while the combination might have been directly involved, there was a fantastic combination between the two halfbacks in who was taking control at certain parts of the set of 6.
Here comes Hoffman to within side of the halfway line.
16.
Farah down that blind side again. Good hands once more. French just about hanging on. It was Josh Morris who was hauled down. His twin brother waiting on the inside. That's a sloppy pass. It's collected safely enough. Oh dear, it is getting a little sloppy, and that's a knock on.
But again, they're giving them no space in which to play with. All credit there to Bosk. I was critical of him for the try. He made the wrong decision in defence, but that time he really did. He got up there, he took the space of the ball receiver and forced the error. So great defensive play from Thomas Bosk there.
Bit of French being attempted by the New Zealand referee, Leon Williamson. Vite.
Okay, where you go? Out!
Fed by Bosk. Here comes Wynne. James Wynne of Lesignan these days. He's been in France for a good 6 years now. Qualifies in the residential rule, the Australian. Bentley dummied right, went left and tried a little dart of his own.
They've upped the ante, the Australian defenders though here. There's a couple of tackles in the first three where the ball carrier really has ended up with his head towards his own goal post, which indicates dominance in the tackle by the Australians.
Along the line it comes. Green Shields on to Dimitri Bello. Elima. Bosk sending it high. The sun is actually in the eyes of the chasers rather than the defending fullback Kurt Gidley, so it was a reasonably comfortable catch for him.
Yeah, but it's still a good place to turn it over, because you see there, tackle one 12 metres away from the goal line. So by Bosk putting the ball into the egg and it plenty of hang time, it allowed the chasers to get up there and restrict the kick return of Kurt Gidley.
Here comes Thaiday, Sam Thaiday, who's on from the bench, the Brisbane man. Now Shillington, another of those interchange prop forwards. Two big men trying to do the damage, and now it'll go wide. It's Lockyer back on the inside, and it's dropped by Waterhouse. It's another knock on. It's not as sharp as it should be.
No, there's one or two headers creeping in. I think is it 5 or 6 headers that the French have made, but some real dominant defence there. That was win straight from the scrum there, and you can see there, great technique, shoulder underneath the ball, good shoulder contact, someone else helping with the tackle, and it really gives you a dominance. But when you get the ball, then you've got to look after it, and that error there, number 5 for the Australians, and it's just giving French too easy field position.
Green Shields down. Here comes Wynne from dummy half. The French trying to mount an attack here from just inside this Australian half. They'd love to get something before half-time. 2 tries conceded. Already making it a long way back. Wynne now throws it to Bosk. Bosk behind the line to Green Shields. Green Shields with a dummy. Lockyer bumps him with a shoulder. 2 more there to make the tackle a good one. 20 yards out. This time it's Elima. 6th tackle is the next. Kane Bentley. Bentley with a dummy. Caught in possession. It's a waste of a play. Waste of a play on the final tackle. The Australians trying to pick it up and get on with it. Oh, and he's given a penalty.
Yeah, I think that came from there's a bit of assistance from the touch judge there, because it was a very late call from Mr. Williamson. And as it was the last tackle, where Bentley decided to run the ball, turned it over, but he's given offside. But I feel there was interference as well in the tackle.
Well, whatever the reason, the French have a prime position here. Bobby Goulding, their coach, encouraged by the fact that 6 tackles now to hammer this Australian line, led by Elima. And the French supporters finding their voice as well here. Kane Bentley back on the inside. Here comes Bosk. Bosk to Wynne. Wynne along the line. Green Shields wanted it, but it was dropped short. Wynne. Again moving it left. Couple of dummies. Bosk. Bosk tried to throw it back, but Lockyer's there to catch it.
Well, offside once again. It's even a couple of the fringe Australian defenders in front of the mark set by the referee. So there's a great period of pressure for the French side. The 3rd consecutive set right in the Australian danger zone.
Matthew Griffey, 5 yards out. Kane Bentley from dummy half, head down and tried to bullet his way through. The Aussies had him matched. Here comes Bosk. Now Wynne. Just trying to move it along towards Sadoui. Wynne. Here's Bosk. Short and flat to Elima. 4 tackles. Already gone through. So just the 2 to come now. Bosk again at the heart of just about everything. Now Dimitri Bello. Bello trying to twist his way around, but dragged out of play. A little ambitious in the end. And the Australian line survives.
Yes, great ball movement from the French side. But the thing that Tim Sheens will be pleased about is this commitment to defence by the Australians. They've made far too many penalties, 5, made far too many errors at the minute. But my word, when it's come to the defensive aspect of the game, they really have stepped up to the plate.
See the tackles made fairly equal at the moment. France 62, Australia 65. Just a couple of tackles missed on the French side, won by the Australians. So in that respect, it's fairly level pegging.
Hold, go.
Sivanasiva back on the pitch for another spell, the big Penrith forward. Hoffman.
Come on, Jamie, stand up!
Here's Farah. Good hands by Lewis. Australia showing terrific hands here. Little kick through. Oh, it's hit the referee. It's hit the referee. And he's given a knock-on against himself, if you like, because as soon as it hit the referee, he's given head and feet to the Australian side.
Yeah, I think that fell for the Australians, really, because Pello had been covering round the back, and that allowed the Australians to play at it. And you see there, boot to ball, but kicked it far too hard, kicked it out of bounds. So rather fortunate to get a repeat set there for the Australians.
Cooper Cronk, who's on the pitch to feed here. Payne looking for a taste of the action much more centrally than he's normally been positioned in this tournament so far. Now Jennings. Ooh, the slip. It looked high, but it was a slip. Here's Farah at dummy half. Now Sivanasiva again to try and bully his way through. He's still striding in, still carrying it forward. He's a big fella, isn't he? Here comes Robbie Farah. Cronk now. Friday on the short pass without much momentum. So easily stopped, or relatively easily stopped anyway. Cronk. The gap's opening, a stretch by Waterhouse, but not quite far enough. Australia just about denied. Oh, but they'll have a penalty, hanging on too long in the tackle.
Is it a professional foul, Dave? Because he was looking to play the ball very quickly. Carried the ball just held up short. I think it's decided it's a professional foul. He's certainly having a word with Olivier Ellimer, the captain of the French side.
Our French colleagues showing us the replay of the what looked like a high tackle but wasn't because of the slip. This was a penalty.
It's Green Shield, really. He knows what he's doing there, because a quick play the ball would have been another 4 points for the green and gold, but just slowed it down.
Darren Lockyer had the look of a man who said, well, I hear what you say, but I can't completely agree with you, to be honest. But I've been around enough to know not to say anything back. Here comes Farah at dummy half. This is Lockyer. Gidley throwing it left, and again on that left-hand side. They're not just quite finding it when the gaps appear to be there.
Well, Depart once again, he helped them out, this time not with a tackle. But if you watch this, there's half a gap created by Gidley, and he just plays at the ball. That knocks it over the sideline, and it just builds the pressure. But he had to do it, because again, there were two Australian players, the Morris twins, on the outside.
2 and a bit minutes left to play. In this first half, the French desperate to hold out if they possibly can. It's Brett Morris. They're almost impossible to distinguish Brett Morris and Josh Morris. They are identical twins. Josh is the oldest by 10 minutes, but that doesn't help much when you're trying to commentate on them when they're running at full flight. Fide is the dummy runner. Instead it's Cronk who takes it on, throws it left. Hoffman tried to reach, but he has lost possession.
Well, once again, great field position, but coughed the ball up with error, in part down to the French pressure, but in part as well down to indifferent execution from the Australian side.
Get it in there quickly, Jamie. Okay, Dave, get it in. Out! How on, move! Back here, 16, go.
Here's Pello.
Move! Hold, Sam, wait, go. Third, move! Mark a square, take a step. Go.
Bentley, up from dummy half, came Bentley.
He's been very busy once again, hasn't he, Kane Bentley? I think he can feel very happy with his contribution to the Four Nations.
Kane Bentley and his older brother Andrew Bentley were brought up in France. Their Kiwi father played in France for La Réole, so their childhood was spent in this country, which is why they're playing for the French today. It's a kick that should just roll out of play and offer the Australians a tap back on the 20, and we're just a couple of tackles away from the end of this first half. So John Keir, what has been your conclusive thoughts on this first period?
Well, I know which coach will feel the happier of the two. I think Bobby Goulden will be very, very pleased with the effort, the commitment of the French side, who worked really hard to keep the Australians' scoreline down. But the Australians, they'll be happy with the defence, but there's lots and lots of areas for them to pick up on. There really are.
Halfway reached, and half-time very nearly reached. Just a couple of tackles maybe here, as Farah goes from dummy half and Lockyer throws it left. This is often where the Australians can be dangerous with these late plays if a side switches off in opposition, but the hooter sounds. Lockyer with a kick. Greenshields chases this, knowing all he has to do is watch it or put it out of play, which is exactly what he does. It'll be the last act of a first half that the French can be very proud of, but the Australians having the lead through two Michael Jennings tries at half-time. Australia leading by 8 points to 0, but they know that they can improve an awful lot on what they produced so far. The French desperate to keep this spirit going if they possibly can. France 0, Australia 8 is the half-time score.
Well, who would have predicted this? It looked as if it was going to be a dream start for Australia, but the slide was just too far for Josh Morris. Uncharacteristic handling errors from Australia, and France stood toe-to-toe with them for all of 20 minutes. But then a decisive break from the 21-year-old debutant Michael Jennings, rookie and player of the year in 2007. He added another a couple of minutes later. The French, though, had 3 repeat sets. They put severe pressure on Australia, and it is only 8 points to 0. Looking like 500 to 1 on favourites? I do not think so. Just confirm the statistics for you, and there we go. France may not have scored, but my word, they've given Australia a fright. The 2 tries coming from Jennings, neither of them converted. And have a look at these statistics, because you wouldn't believe that Australia are playing as poorly as they are. They've made 7 errors. Total possession, well, OK, Australia do have the upper hand, but in terms of territory, it's 50-50. The errors massively more for Australia than for France. And the tackle completion rate, in fact, that can't be right for Australia, because it was much lower than... tackle completion is very high. It's completed sets that isn't so good in terms of percentages for Australia. They're only round about the 61% mark, where they were in the 90s against England in their first half. Well, let's hear more from Damien Johnson, who is pitchside.
Yes, I'm joined by a proud father, Steve Morris, father of the 2 twins, Brett and Josh. As I say, you must be very proud today, both playing for Australia together for the first time.
Yeah, I'm very proud. It's not often you get one son play for Australia, but to have two boys and playing on the same side together, a very proud moment.
I have to say, I can't tell them apart, can you?
Look, it's very hard, unless their hair's a bit different. You know, they look very similar. It's very hard, ever since they were babies, and hopefully they can give the slip to the Frenchmen in the second half.
I was going to ask you, what have you made of the first half performance by Australia?
Yeah, I think the conditions probably a little bit slippery. They seem to be dropping the ball. The Australians can't get into any sort of rhythm at the moment, so hopefully second half they'll be able to throw the ball around a bit and get some points on the board. Yeah. Not at the moment. I don't think Tim Sheens would be real happy.
What have you made of the French side? Brave in defence.
Yeah, no, they've really surprised me. First half, they're tackling hard. They're forcing a few errors in the Australians. So, the Australians are going to have to really play well the second half to get a big score up. Yeah.
Thanks, Steve. Great to see you.
No worries. Thank you.
Well, there is the French dressing room, and John Keir has rejoined us here. But Justin Morgan, first of all, Bobby Goulding's going to be thrilled with that, isn't he?
Oh, he's going to be very happy that they defended exceptionally well. They popped a couple of questions to the Australian defensive team a couple of times when they got down the other end. They just need to be a little bit more clinical, a little bit more patient. When they get closer to the line, they just seem to be a little bit anxious. They've gone over the sideline and
look at Bobby. He's
very
dancing.
animated, isn't he? Is he dancing? I'm not sure what he's doing there.
Brilliant. So you can see, I mean, all the body language in there is good, it's positive. Let's have a look in the Australia dressing room, because after the win against England, we saw them looking very dejected. Well, Tim Sheen's there having a word with his player. I mean, physically, their shoulders are down. You can see it.
Well, you can see the different body language in the players. Obviously, a lot of them looking at the ground. They've got the shoulders slumped over. It's not a real happy dressing room, but they've got another 40 minutes to put that right. The thing is that the French haven't scored a try and they've scored 2. And I know it's only 8 points and everybody expecting the Aussies to run away with it, but the first objective of any game is to win. If you can win comfortably, that's fantastic. He'll be disappointed with their execution. They've had some unforced errors at times when they've had some good opportunity down close to the French line, and that's what he'll be most disappointed about.
Well, let's have a look at some of the key moments of the first half. And France started to... John's just still sorting out his earpiece. You're right there, John? Okay, let's have a look at these French attacks.
Yeah, they're fantastic. They're not afraid to throw the ball around. They're just the ball a little bit behind there. I'm not sure whether they would have scored or not. But this is a nice bit of ball movement here. The dummy half gets out, a couple of options. Bosc, Wynn, they combine very, very well. Gets the green shields. He gets on the outside. And here, this is what we're talking about. They just need to be patient in this position. Get tackled there, take another play in. Here's another big shift play. Bosc involved this time. Dummies to kick, finds Elema, who I think's been very, very good for the French this entire tournament. And unfortunately, just couldn't get the good kick onto the end of that one. But they've been very, very good.
There was an interesting article in the programme last week by Michael Vaughan about playing the Australians, and he said in cricket, same as in any sport, he said we had to be physical with them, we had to stand up to them. And actually France have done a really good job of that today.
Well, I think if there's a characteristic of the French team, that's very physical. Their aggression has never ever been questioned. They've also been very, very flamboyant. Whether they can just go set for set with some of the best teams in the world, that's the question mark. But today, they've been excellent so far. I think if they can make some fine adjustments to their attack, they might score some tries.
And what's helping them is the fact that Australia are making mistakes. I mean, we just aren't used to seeing Australian players. Obviously, a big hit coming up here. Green shields with a big hit on Josh Morris, but lots of knock-ons as well from some of their best players.
What I've liked from the French is that they put pressure on the Aussies with their defence. They've come out of the line. We saw last week, that's a little bit of an unforced error, that one there, but it was a nice line that was presented here. Elema comes out of the line, puts some pressure on Robbie Farah that time. And we've seen the ball go to ground too many times for the Australian team. A few sloppy passes, but again, Bosc right up in the face of the back rower there and putting some pressure on them. So they'll need to continue to do that. We didn't see that last week from England. England didn't put the pressure on the Aussies, but the French are starting to do that today.
John, I've been looking around wishing that this was a full stadium, because the French fans would enjoy this so much. They'd be so proud of their side. But in a funny way, is it hard for Australia because there isn't much atmosphere?
I think you have to generate your own atmosphere, basically, and I think they've enough areas to address of the Australians, and he'll be very happy defensively, probably very happy with the kicking game, but I think their execution attack has let them down, and I'm totally with Justin. In part, it's down to this French pressure that they're exerting. And you've just got, it's typical Bobby Golding, they're just full of enthusiasm, they're just working real hard for each other. The challenge now for them is to repeat the effort for the second 40 minutes as well.
And the challenge as well is to turn that pressure into points. They've got to get over the line, and as you said, Australia are the ones that have done that twice through the same try scorer, young Michael Jennings.
Yeah, he's had a fantastic start to his Test career. He's had a fantastic season in the NRL with Penrith, and to score 2 tries. And here's a nice bit of play there. A couple of options back on the inside. And you see there, Hindmarsh, he holds up one of the French defenders. And these other 2 defenders on the outside got a big decision to make. And we've also got the big man out on the edge there, Waterhouse, and he holds up another defender. And again, we talk a lot about dummy runners in rugby league, but those 2 there, Hindmarsh and Waterhouse, weren't dummy runners. They were genuine options for the man carrying the ball, and that's what created the opportunity for Jennings on the outside, because the French defence just were a little bit indecisive in knowing which one was going to get the ball.
There was still quite a bit of discussion, obviously the video ref deciding on the grounding and obstruction. Did you think that any of those dummy runners bordered on obstruction?
No, I don't think so. I think because they were in a position to get the ball. They were behind the ball. They didn't take anybody out. They did the right thing. Hindmarsh pulled out of the line once he got in front of the ball. Waterhouse did the same, and some nice selective play there. Until the ball was released from both the ball players' hands, you couldn't determine who was going to get the ball, whether it was going to be the front man or the back man. And if you're going to do a play like that, that's the best way to do it, where you can't tell if it's the front man or the back man that's going to get the ball.
And Jennings showed again why he's been such an exciting young talent in Australia. His second try a bit more straightforward?
Yeah, a little bit more straightforward. As I said, in the commentary, it was fantastic to see Thurston carry the ball the play before, and then Lockie just stepped up. Hindmarsh, a really, really good foil there on the inside. Very, very hard for the defence down on the short side. Bosk, he had to come in on Hindmarsh. He's a big man, and Jennings just held his run really, really nicely. Good timing, and that's why Darren Lockie is one of the best players of all time. He can put a fantastically timed pass like that together.
OK, well, we'll discuss what might happen in the second half in a moment or two, but just to remind you that highlights of England against New Zealand, obviously this is going to be the match that will decide what is coming up in terms of next week's final. You can see highlights on BBC Two tomorrow at 3 o'clock and also on the red button. But if you want to hear live commentary on the second half, then tune into 5 Live Sports Extra. And the rugby continues shortly after we're off air. We kick off our autumn rugby union internationals with an absolute cracker. Wales against New Zealand is live from the Millennium Stadium from 5 o'clock. They've not beaten the All Blacks for 56 years. And then from 7:15 on BBC Three, we have highlights from Twickenham as England take on Australia. Austin Healey and Lawrence Dallaglio are your hosts for that. A few more programmes to tell you about. Don't forget, following us is Final Score, all the news and results from the world of football. They'll be coming your way from 4:30. And Match of the Day is on a little later than usual tonight. It follows the Festival of Remembrance. Gary on air at 11:05 on BBC One. And the football continues until the wee small hours with the Football League show. That starts at 5 midnight. And we're in November now. Christmas is approaching, and that means it is nearly time for Sports Personality of the Year.
The BBC Sports Personality of the Year is Chris Hoy.
He is recognised as being the sporting award.
I'm actually shaking.
It was a show that, as a family, we watched year in, year out.
If you look at the past people who've won that, you've got the legends of British sport.
I can't tell you how honoured I am to be here.
It's not only what you do in your sport, you've got to have a personality as well.
I didn't think I was going to win it, to be honest. It blew me away.
Just give me the best Christmas present I could ask for.
BBC Sports Personality of the Year. I mean, I just couldn't believe that was me.
It's probably the only trophy I have on display in my house.
It's very difficult to put it into words just how special winning the Sports Personality of the Year was for me.
So Sports Personality on Sunday, December the 13th, live from the Sheffield Arena. A great year to look back on. Lots of awards to give out, but in terms of the main award, that is for you to decide on the night. Well, perhaps we're seeing here today in Paris that the gap between Southern Hemisphere and Northern Hemisphere Rugby League isn't as big as we might have thought. And certainly England fans will be hoping that they can get one over on New Zealand later today and win a place in the final. Let's hear from the New Zealand coach, Stephen Kearney. He's been talking to Tanya Arnold.
I'm guessing focus won't be a problem going into this one. It's basically knockout football, isn't it, for you guys?
Yeah, it is. That's fairly obvious. Again, so the focus for us is certainly on preparation first, and I'll have a good look at the English side and see where we think we could get some advantages. But I thought they played the second half against Australia, and even 10 minutes before the end of the first half, I thought they really got themselves back into the game, and so it's going to be a tough contest.
A little like yourself, they're an evolving team, aren't they, with youngsters? How have you seen them develop through the tournament so far, do you feel?
Their performance of the second half against Australia was fairly much what I expected in terms of their development. Looking at the squad, that they picked, and knowing that it was going to take a bit of time to get used to things. I was very impressed, as I've always been with Sam Burgess and his contribution to the group. I thought that was probably one of Kevin's best games I've seen him play for England in the weekend, and young Sam Tompkins is an exciting player. So, you couple that with the work that Jamie and Adrian and those guys do in the middle there. It's an exciting brand of footy. So, and I knew that they were going to get better as the tournament went on. So again, it makes for a really good contest on Saturday night.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. We've just actually come back from the stadium. We to have a look at it, and you know, there's a number of young guys that haven't, and older guys that haven't played there. So again, I know it'll be a great atmosphere there. I know that the English side will be well supported, as they always are in the north here, and you know, we're looking forward to a great contest.
Hard to call a favourite in that match, but in this one, Australia were 500 to 1 on at the start of play. John, they're not looking like it, but they're leading 8-0. What do you expect from the second half?
Well, I don't know quite what to expect, but I know what I'd want, especially if I was in the French camp. I mean, they've completed 14 sets out of 17, so it's very much of keep doing that, because Australia have had 6 sets of possessions more than French, and French have pressured the Australians into errors, which has led to that scoreline. So you'd want just more of the same from the French, and if they do that, we're going to see a heck of a game. And you never know, with Thomas Bott's kicking game, they might well come up with a try, and then 1 or 2 little nerves might appear in the Australian play.
Thank you, John. Good luck with your second half commentary. Let you go and rejoin Dave Woods. And Justin, if you were an Australian player, Darren Lockyer there, what are you thinking? What are you saying?
Well, I think in any game we've seen so far in the Four Nations is that they just need to do what they do well. They don't play very expansive rugby. They play low risk stuff, and they need to go about that. They just need to get forward. They need to get the big men on the front foot, and then allow Lockyer and Thurston and the like to nip in and around the rucks. But I just think they can't try and win the game in the first 10-15 minutes and build some momentum. They didn't do that in the first half. They didn't build any up in the first half, so they need to do that. If they do that, I think they'll come away comfortably on the scoreboard.
Well, we mentioned at the beginning of the programme David against Goliath and underdogs. If you support the underdog at home, then you're going to be right behind France, as those fans are for this second half. Let's rejoin Dave Woods.
Well, the history of French Rugby League has always been about a struggle against adversity, a sport that was banned in the Second World War here by the Vichy government, because the people who tended to support Rugby League were the people who tended to be involved in the resistance. So banned for a long time, and then monies and stadiums taken away from them and given to Rugby Union, and it's grown back after the war, especially strong in places like Carcassonne and Toulouse and Perpignan and Albi and places like that. And it's a struggle against adversity in this second half here too. 8 points to 0 they trail against an Australian side that has yet to really hit the straps, and the French looking for a little bit more of that character that they showed in the first half, for a whole lot more of that character if they can. And what they can't afford to do is give away penalties like that early on, which is going to give Australia a chance to clear their lines and begin their set back towards the French half. So the tap restart with the Australians looking to attack. Here's Sivanasiva driving it in, back on the field again, 35 yards out. Farrell, little dummy, then puts it wide. The Aussies trying to bring it through the middle, this time through Gidley. Full-back up there, in fact it was Waterhouse who was up there. The PA system is still playing music at the moment as well, which is a little disconcerting, watching a game of rugby league while pop music is playing in the background. Penalty goes Australia's way. Lifting in the tackle. And it's been put on report as well, that the referee crossing his arms. He's not called up the two captains, but he has put it on report. Here comes Sivanasiva with the drive. The Australians looking to set up camp inside French territory by a distance here. Lewis, half through and surging to the line and scores. Well, just what the French didn't want. The Penrith man, Luke Lewis, with a dummy and a saunter through. And a try early on really has put the French on the back foot and might just give the Australians a bit of momentum to work with here. It's a good try, but the French will be disappointed with their defence. Just a grasp there by David Ferriol, but he was big enough and strong enough, Luke Lewis, to get over. Sivanasiva, that was a penalty for just lifting Sivanasiva's legs. There didn't seem an awful lot wrong with that, but the penalty was given. Here comes Lewis. Just what they didn't want, really, wasn't it, at the start of this second half, John Keir?
It was, yes. The Australians looking ominous there with that early set, although they were gifted the penalty, took full advantage of it, and very important for the French just to refocus and ensure that the two second half collapses that they've had doesn't occur again.
Here comes Gidley, with the kick, which disappears between the uprights, and it means Australia have their first conversion of the day. They now lead by 14 points to nil. Luke Lewis, the try scorer. Let's hear from Damian Johnson, who's down on the touchline.
Yes, I've got Cameron Smith, the Aussies hooker down here, rested today. Cameron, what are you looking for from your side in this second half?
I think just better completion rate this half. Although it's quite greasy out there today, I think Sheensy would have been a little bit unhappy with our ball control and trying to get a bit more field position.
To their credit, the French have defended pretty well.
They have. I thought they played extremely well in the first half. Defensively, they were great, and with the ball, they threw a lot at us and had plenty of opportunities.
Place is up for grabs next week here.
Yeah, that's right. It's it's a big game for us, trying to get in that final. So hopefully the boys can come home really strongly.
Thanks, Cameron.
Cheers, thanks.
Cameron Smith, you might have noticed one of those who's wearing a Movember is the Australian cause at the moment. One or two of them wearing moustaches. They are banned from wearing sponsorship for alcohol as well on the shirts in France. So their normal sponsors are not being worn. Instead, as you can see, Movember with a big moustache over the top. And as comedic as that moustache over the top looks, some of the moustaches on the top lips are even more comedic, aren't they?
They are. They can certainly play rugby league better. They can grow the old moustache. But good kick there from Australia, completing that set. And I'm sure that they'll be looking to take full advantage of any field position that's given to them. As a superb 40-20. And it gives Cooper Cronk the opportunity to feed the ball and obviously retrieve the ball.
Here they go down that blind side. Farah feeding it down towards Jennings, who's on a hat-trick, of course, having scored twice in the first half, but held up 9 yards away. Farah now picks up once more. Now Sivanasiva with the drive. 4 tackles still to come. This French line is going to be thoroughly tested here. I'm sure Tim Sheens will have had the Aussie ears ringing again, but Lockyer's pass is miscued. The referee says play on. Referee says play on. Brett Morris goes in, and the referee's given it.
And it's the correct decision. Came off his head. He attempted to pass the ball. If you watch here, there's another good right to left shift. It's from Farah, Cronk and Lockyer, and the ball deflected, and it's Morris, Brett Morris, who was the grateful recipient of a rather good headed pass that he picked up and scored a good try there over by the sideline. So the Australians really have come out and worked great. A great 40-20, gave them the field position, bit of luck there in the shift, but Morris once again, he takes full advantage, and the sets really are counting against the French. They've had the ball 17 times, the Australians 28 times. It's a vast weight of possession to the Australians, and they're now taking full advantage of it.
Kurt Gidley again with the goal-kicking duties in the absence of Jonathan Thurston. Thurston did miss, of course, with his 2 conversions in that first half. Younger brother of Matt Gidley, who's been playing of late with St Helens in the Super League. Gidley, oh, he's put that wide. So 3 kicks missed today by Australia in total.
What a great 40-20 this is. It's Cooper Cronk there kicking from inside his 40-metre zone, and the ball bounces in the field of play and it goes over the sidelines within 20 metres of the opposition goal line. That's a great piece of skill. It's a very difficult piece of skill, but the reward for that is head and feed at the scrum, and from that head and feed the Australians scored. So great reward for that great kick.
18-0 Australia lead with 6 minutes of the second half gone. Could be a long second half for the French, the way it started from the Aussies. There was a sun out about 10 minutes ago, but it's gone in. It's a cloudy day, and it's conditions which is reflected in the face there of Bobby Golding, the French coach. Cloudy disposition. His side are being put under the hammer at the moment. Comes Lewis.
Well, that's just what they needed, because they haven't been able to get their hands on the ball whatsoever the first 6 minutes, 7 minutes of this half. That's an error with a forward pass, and they just needed to get the ball into in the French hand, and the fact that it's in the Australian hands is a great advantage. And 8 errors there made by the Australians, 7 in the first half, 1 this half, and it's a good job they've had that weight of possession.
And it's not just about today, is it? I mean, you hark back to the World Cup last year when people were claiming this Australian team was the best of all time and expected them. They said give them the trophy before the tournament even began, and they had a soft semi-final against Fiji, didn't they? And then got beaten, got caught cold by the Kiwis in the final.
They did, but they hadn't really. They'd played really well in the World Cup in the build-up games, such as against England, winning 52-4. They haven't hit the straps yet, and the only danger is forever they meet in the final. Will they hit the straps in the final?
Will that be England or will that be New Zealand? We'll know later on today, of course. And here comes Griffey, 20 yards away. James Wynne dashing up into dummy half. Now Ferriel takes it on. Ferriel with the offload. He's done well. Left towards Ragan. Has to step back on the inside. Sivanasiva stretched and missed him. Ragan thumps it in. Fide thumping him down. Wynne. Here's Ferriel. He's trying to urge his body at that Australian defensive line again. Oh, it's a knock-on. It's a knock-on in the tackle. It'll be Australia's head and feet at the scrum.
They're very disappointed in that because it was a good field position that the French had there. And very disappointed, and
word out of place as well.
Yeah.
Swear at me, telling me, very good, yeah, in English,
One of the French players swearing at the referee in English. He's having none of that, so he's given the penalty Australia's way.
Well, there's Ferriel here carrying the ball. It's directly at Farah. Good collision. It doesn't feel as if he lost control of that ball, and you know what, Dave? I think I agree with him.
Well, the end result of all of that, the alleged knock-on and then the penalty, has given Australia position back inside the French half again here. Robbie Farah, man who's got a kebab named after him back in Australia, Robbie Farah, the old-time Lebanese international. Farah again. It's a healthy kebab, by the way, in case you're worrying. Chicken and vegetables and all the rest of it. Lockyer's kick, it's being chased hard here, and it's going to be collected by Brett Morris. There's a real chase between him and his twin brother as to who was going to get there first. It is Brett Morris, his second of the game, his 4th as an Australian Test player in only his 3rd Test match.
Well, this is sublime skill. When the wingman is constantly coming up to cut down your shift option, what's the alternative for you to do? Well, that's Darren Lockyer has just solved the problem. If you're going to come up and you're going to try and close us down, Vincent Duport, well, I'll just shove the ball behind you and we'll trust in Morris's pace. And the pace took him there before Greenshields for an outstanding try. That's great vision from Lockyer and great execution, and that's just what to do. If it's a rush defence, just push the ball behind them and trust your kick chase.
4 tries in what is now actually 3 tests for Australia, Brett Morris. And there's his dad, Steve Morris, former Australian international. He played at Leeds for a short time as well, didn't he? We heard from him at half-time as well.
He would have been safer to say it in French.
Steve Morris, a St George legend, wasn't he? Brett Morris still playing at St George. Josh Morris moved from there to the Bulldogs, and it's proved a successful move for him as well. He's in irregular starts this last season.
Played State of Origin as well, Dave. He's had a great season. I think this will have capped it off today, won't it? Making his debut alongside his twin brother to form a centre-wing pairing.
So Gidley with just about the easiest kick of the day so far today. Ooh, just about got it in, didn't he? 2 out of 3 for him, 24-0 Australia lead.
What a beautiful kick that is, isn't it, from Lockyer? The weighting of the kick was perfect. It's a great chase, but it's the actual execution of that, the decision making first of all, in that the wingman has come up there. Duport's come up with his rush defence, so he chooses to put the ball on the ground behind him. But the execution, the weight of the kick, superb from Darren Lockyer.
It's a familiar pattern that's emerging here for the French. A second half capitulation. 40 minutes of real, honest endeavour, but a second half when they're found wanting, and there are so many reasons for that, aren't there?
Well, that's one of them, is the possession. Virtually 80% to Australia, but if you look over the game, 30 sets to 18, it's a heck of a lot of ball to give one of the best teams in the world, if not the best team in the world.
Fire down this blind side. This is Josh Morris. Morris with the hand away to Gidley. Gidley trying to push them away. Put down. Justin Morgan, what are you making of this?
It's fantastic luxury of the Aussies to bring someone like Cooper Cronk, who's had a fantastic season for the Storm, on late in the first half. In this second half, he's been instrumental in guiding the team around, and we didn't seem actively involved in setting those tries up. It allowed Lockie to sit back and put some plays on. What a great position for the Aussies to have a great halfback like Cooper Cronk to come off the bench, and looks like it could be another try.
Well, what a great kick that was again. The Aussie kicking at time has been absolutely impeccable, and the chase by Brett Morris here
again,
who might be on a hat-trick.
Yeah, well, they're looking for the ground. I don't think there's anything wrong with the offside. Deport's aware of Morris chasing. He's waiting for the ball to go over the sideline.
No.
Valiant effort, doesn't quite make it. But what a great chase that is. It's amazing what a good chase gives you. It gives you opportunities. It hasn't quite taken that. It will be a tap 20. Great work from the kick chase man.
Well, here comes the decision. Our colleagues from Orange TV telling us it is no try, as we saw. Essay refusé, I think that says.
Yeah, they've already taken
back on the 20.
They've already tapped and restarted Dave as well. So the referees now had to just pull them all back and say, let's go again, guys.
And here we do go again. This is Artie Sheed that runs into 3 Australians, and he's almost back from where he started from.
Hold. Mark is square. Go.
Win.
Don't use his head. 2. Move.
They need to get to the end of this set, Dave, don't they? They really do, the French. They've hardly had any ball in this second half.
Oh, this is good. Here's Pello. Pello feeding it down that left-hand side to Villegas. Tried to get a kick onto it, but couldn't get it.
Stripped out. Kicked out here. French ball.
Well,
it is French possession.
That's just what they wanted. I'm not so certain that was the correct decision to try and offload to the inside, but it's paid off. But very adventurous play, shifting the ball in your own half. And that was Villegas there who was just trying to offload inside. The Australians carried it over the sideline, so it's good that it's a repeat set for the French, because my word, they need some ball in hand to just stop this Australian tide.
Here's Dupont, a dummy half, picking up and having a go, taking it inside Australian territory by a stride or two. Win. The French trying to work their way through here. Sadoui.
Hold. Go.
Win. Ragan. A couple of tackles left here. They're 20 yards away, so there's hope offered. Molly. Bosk. 6 tackle is the next. So the chance of a kick maybe. There it goes, but it's going to be overkicked, you would have thought. Is it? Oh, it's in fact, it's turned into a very good kick, but it's dragged out by Kurt Gidley.
Yeah, it was
going to be a drop out under the sticks.
It was a very good end to the set there, and
Bernard Laporte there, the chairman of the RLIF these days, isn't he?
Yes, he is. And obviously enjoying this French effort. And it was Ollie Ellimer, wasn't it, who put the kick in there, and not the orthodox kicker. But it was very effective, and Gidley had to take it over the in-goal area. And again, this is another repeat set, so this is just what the French need to get their hand on the ball and feel the way back into the game again.
Ferriol did well, catching it between his legs. 6th repeat set of the game for the French, compared to the Aussie 8. It's those repeat sets that do hurt defences hard. The French so far have failed to turn them into points. It's Dupont. This is Wynn. Bosk. Taken in by Griffey.
Surrender! Stand! 4! Hold! Go!
Wynn. Bosk. Molly. Green Shields tried to hurry, lost it, picked up by Jennings. It's going to be a hat-trick this. Michael Jennings races away. 3 tries on his debut. What a debut to remember.
That'll be tackle 1 in.
But again, he's going to have to wait.
Well, it's to see if that's a knock-on there. Pressure obviously put on the French ball carrier. Jared Hayne it was. And the ball came free to Jennings. But it's whether the video referee deems that it's a knock-on from Haynes. You can see the shift there, and he's closing the space down there. It's whether it deems that he's played at that ball, because that's a superb pickup, and he does look like a thoroughbred there, where he just speeds away from the French defence. I can't see anything wrong with that. I think he's looking at making the tackle on Greenshields, and I think it's just the fact that Jennings was the first to react with some great skill with that pickup. We talk about this reminds me very much of a try against England when they forced the English defence into an error. That's what Jared Haynes done then. It hits his head. That's okay. This should be a try.
Well, our colleagues from Orange TV giving us all the angles there before the try is eventually confirmed. And Michael Jennings with his hat-trick. Australia leading by 28 points to 0.
He looks a very good centre, doesn't he, Jennings? That's a great piece of defence there from Hayne, known for his attacking play. But what skill in the pick-up there without breaking stride. And then he looks a total thoroughbred there as he just pulls away from the French defence for a great try.
Thurston's back on, so Jonathan Thurston taking over the goal-kicking duties again here. Great day for him, though. Looking to break his duck with conversion attempts. And he has done. Over it goes, the flags are raised, and Australia out to a 30 points to 0 lead.
And coach Tim Seams will be very happy with their defensive work. You know, we said they've stuttered a bit with ball in hand, but my word, they've defended really well, as that scoreline's reflected a 0 against the French name. But the big thing is that this Australian side, it can stutter, it can start with ball in hand, but they'll always be in the game because, my word, they can defend. And that's one of the heartening things they'll take to the final next week.
So they've conceded 4 tries in the opening 16 minutes of the second half here, the French. It's going awfully wrong at the moment. Don't forget that highlights of England against New Zealand, the match that takes place tonight, you can see on BBC Two tomorrow, 3 o'clock in the afternoon for highlights of that one. And you can hear live commentary of the game, the second half at least, on 5 Live Sports Extra, 7 o'clock tonight. Sports Extra on digital radio and digital TV. And live rugby union on BBC Two, over on BBC Two later on, Wales against New Zealand. And that starts at 5 o'clock. Here at the Stade Charlotte, it remains the French scoreless and Australia 30.
That was good defence though, wasn't it? Really flying up their Tuxagas to put them under pressure, but they've still got to the end of the set, they've still put the kick in, and it's down to Mr Greenshield to get some ground.
Super League fans watching on might just remember this stadium from back in the late 90s when Paris Saint-Germain used it as their base. This is where Super League in France began, where Super League itself began, the first ever game. France against, or rather PSG against the Sheffield Eagles back in 1996. We remember that well, we were both there, and not long after you were the coach of PSG, weren't you, John Keir?
Correct, and the great memories. It's marvellous to revisit. It's a great arena, it really is, and you know, marvellous place, marvellous memories, and a pretty good Australian display as it's unfolding.
There's a little kick which is going to be watched cautiously out of play by Gidley, and it'll be a tap back on the 20. I think they had close to 20,000 on that night, the first night. When the game kicked off, there were fewer than half of that amount in. But as the night went on, more and more came in, and Maurice Lindsay famously said after it, we all know what the peripherique is like on a Friday night. That's why it took them a long time to turn up. Here's Farrell, dummy half. Australia in complete control here with very nearly an hour played. Thurston. Scrum down. France's head and feet.
Yeah, it was the pass, wasn't it, from Robbie Farrell, was played pretty well at the dummy half position. But it went forward.
Just wipe your leg, mate, you're bleeding off your knee. Just go on the ground. Both on the ground,
And
mate.
now
Cheers.
it's French head and feed in the Australian half. And I'm sure Bobby Goulden will be hoping they can post some points on the board, but I'm also sure that Tim Sheens will be getting the message out to his green and gold team. Let's keep them to Zil.
It's a very lonely place for Bobby Golding at the moment, isn't it? Because there's absolutely nothing a coach can do. Second half, you can make the interchanges, 1 or 2 swaps around, but otherwise there's no words. You can actually get on there and get into your players' heads. Here's Pello.
But look at the defence of the Australians. 3 in the tackle, dominating the collision, making it very difficult for the French to get any go forward, and it really is a quality defensive display for Australia.
Well, here's a chance for Rakan. Rakan to his feet. Molly. Some good effort, good endeavour being provided.
But again, look at the defence. 3 men in at the tackle there, clamping the ball, controlling the collision, so they've got the speed of the line for the next tackle.
Molly. Sadoui, who's put down, and tackle 5 is noted by the referee, so here comes the last. Bosk putting the chip up. They're chasing it. Oh, they chased it well, and they might just have got a try here. Olivier Lima rising so high, and the referee asking for the video replay. But my word, this stadium is animated now because they think they've got a score.
Well, we felt if they were going to score, the most likely route would be from Thomas Bosk's boot. And again, as he does so often in Super League, it's a perfectly weighted kick, judged beautifully. And what a great chase from the captain there, Olivier Elliman, and I can't see anything wrong with that grounding. Fully deserved there for the French display. The courage and the guts that they've put on display today is eminent for all there. He's got the ball down there, give the try, give them the 4 points, they deserve it.
Well, New Zealand referee Leon Williamson waiting again for the decision here. Here it comes. And we have a roar of exultation from the French supporters as the try is confirmed. Olivier Elima, the scorer.
Yeah, the top try scorer for a forward in Super League for the Catalan Dragon team, and I'm sure he'll be very, very proud of posting the only French try up to now in the French capital. And it's a very traditional route for the Catalan Dragons, where it's Elliman who crosses the whitewash, but it comes on the back of some great play from Greenshins. And I'm sure that gentleman there, Mr. Deportes, will have enjoyed that thoroughly.
So here comes Bosk, whose boot unpicked. This Australian defence with a chance to add the 2. Star man of this French side, Thomas Bosk, one of the great French players, you'd have to say, of all time, but he has put it wide. Give a man a build-up, and he does disappoint. France 4, Australia 30.
The exciting thing, though, for the French game is that Thomas Bosk is getting better season on season, and you know, again, very instrumental in that 4 points that France have got. But unfortunately for them, it's they've got 30 that's conceded by the Australian side.
Here comes Wynne with the restart, rather Thurston with the restart, the kick downfield. And the French now with a little more heart, bringing it forward through Sebastian Martin. One of the many, many Catalan players, former league player as well, wasn't he, Seb Martin? Had a spell at that club.
Robbie.
This is Wynne. In at dummy half, has to leap over the Australian body to get it there.
Look at the speed of line there. Great defensive effort from Thurston. Took the space, he received the ball, he received the man.
Here's Ferriol. Oh, and a good offload as well, and here they come now with Bosk. Bosk with a kick to the corner. Pello's the man who's chasing after this. And the referee is going to give a penalty for the late tackle on Bosk. So the French setting up camp 18 yards away from the Australian line.
Well, it was the offload that created the line break, and Bosk did put boot to ball. It wasn't for himself though, but he was taken out, so Mr. Williamson got it right once again.
So the French in good heart and good voice here. This is the noises we've heard them so far today. And with good reason. Bobby Golding's side are giving a rousing reception at the moment. Martin is held up less than 10 yards away. Here it comes again with Ferriol, trying to hammer it in, trying to break the stubborn resistance of this Australian defence. For a second time maybe. Win. Molly, dummies, back on the inside, captured and put down by Hoffman. Still a decent position. Win. Coming right. Ragan. Oh, and he's done well to get that away, in amongst a host of Australian defenders. Still tackles in the bag here.
Again, look at the Australian defence though, David. Very, very good indeed.
Molly. Bosk. Green Shields. Almost cannonning his way through. Anxious moments for the French coach. Bosk, another kick. Oh, and down goes Hindmarsh. Keeper's catch.
Well, for a big man, that's great skill, isn't it? Nathan Hindmarsh. Again, Thomas Bosk looking for the route for the try, courtesy of his boot, but that's marvellous play from Nathan Hindmarsh. Sweeping up behind the defensive line. Great skill just to clean that ball up.
Well, at least they've put some smiles on faces in this second half, the French team. As they did in the first for very different reasons. Farah. Here comes Farah again. Kicked away by Kronk. Should be an easy take and is.
Great pressure though, wasn't it? Great pressure from the French there, and that caused Kronk to kick the ball in a very high trajectory, and it made it an easy take for Pello, and on the back of that he got 20 easy metres.
Let's go downstairs and hear from Damien. Damien.
Yes, Rodney Howe, the conditioning coach for the French team, is with me. How would you sum up this French performance? It's been real spirited stuff, hasn't it?
Yeah, the first half wasn't too bad, but look, the second half we started pretty bad. Gave away 4 penalties, so they got scored a few tries straight away, so that's not really good. But it's turned around a little bit now. We've got the ball back, so it's all right.
The skipper, good value for the try, Olivier Lima?
Yeah, look, he's played the whole tournament so far. He plays 80 minutes every match, so it's just good for a new skipper for France to score a try against Australia.
Thanks, Rodney.
There's a little chip by Bosk again, which has been watched by Gidley, looked after. Gidley sets off again here, but a good chase by the French.
Yeah, they're still working very, very hard indeed. I think he lost that ball, you know.
Got away with it.
Yes, I think Bobby Goulding was intimating that as well.
Just get up and play the ball.
Get up and play the ball, says the referee. Get on with it.
Hold, go.
Thurston. Plenty of runners again here. They've pierced the hole, and look at where they're going. Oh, ho, ho. Ryan Hoffman had so many options, and he tripped over his own feet.
Well, the end product didn't get what it deserved of that beautiful pass from Thurston. It was absolutely exceptional how he delayed the pass.
Well, here comes Thurston now, looking to make a bit of space for Morris on the left-hand side. Morris to his twin brother on the inside, and Josh Morris touches down. It's a proud family on a proud family afternoon. Mum and Dad are here to see it. Brett Morris has got a couple, and now Josh Morris has one too.
Yeah, superb work again from Thurston. It already opened up the defence earlier in the set with a lovely delayed pass. Did the same that time, except he threw it long to the winger. So it was Morris twin 1 to Morris twin 2, and it's Josh who crossed for a very, very, very happy family. Great try there, and again, I love Thurston's ability to delay the pass and then select the pass, and I'm sure he's a very proud dad.
That's Steve. I think there might have been a tear in the eye as well there, and he deserves to be as well. It's not often you see your twin sons playing for your country and each scoring.
Well, one scored and the other assisted with the score, and that's a nice picture, isn't it? Really is.
I was talking to Josh Morris a couple of weeks ago and saying, do you ever get confused? And he says, all the time. He said, in fact, Grandma got us mixed up for 15 years. They've played a couple of pranks. They have a programme in Australia, the Footy Show. They've been on there playing pranks. Jonathan Thurston. Hoping he's still got his kicking touch, having landed his first conversion just a short while ago. Trying to curl this one in, and he has got enough curl on it. 4 points to France, 36 for Australia.
This is a beautiful pass. First of all, that opened the line up, and it did do it justice there. Hoffman didn't make the selection. Thurston remained composed, took that tackle, and then later on he opened up the defence once again. Beautiful pass, this. That's what rugby league's all about, opening up a defence with skill through the passing game.
36-4. Just over 10 minutes left to play.
Hey, come on. Simmons offside.
Farah. That from dummy half.
2, double. Quickly, Olivia.
Here's Hannant.
Third, move. Go.
Australia looking for more here. Not satisfied with their 36. They have at the moment. This, by the way, will be their 14th consecutive victory against the French. You have to go back to 1978, the last time France actually beat Australia. That was down in Toulouse. And they won by 11 points to 10. They won that series as well.
And that was an exceptional defensive chase there, kick chase. All credit to Dupont for the return there, where he bounced an Australian defender out of the way. But they put the kick in there at minute 70, and the chase was phenomenal. So there's a lot of defensive plus points for the Australian side.
Reminder there, the highlights of tonight's game, England-New Zealand, 3 o'clock tomorrow, BBC 2, and second half commentary on 5 Live Sports Extra, 7 o'clock tonight, and over on BBC 2 later on today, live Wales against New Zealand in the Rugby Union. That's at 5 o'clock. Knock on. Cameron Smith, one of those proud Mo wearers.
It looks a little chilly, doesn't he, Dave?
Not on the top lip.
Keep working, boys. Good. Ferrier, good work. Keep it up.
Some exceptional moustaches there, aren't there? If you missed it earlier, there's a charity in Australia called Movember, where personalities grow moustaches. It's a way of raising awareness and raising money to help men's depression and prostate cancer. Those 2 charities. And the Australians not allowed to wear their alcohol sponsorship here in France, so Mo has become the feature of the day, and this is also a feature of the day. The Morris twins. Josh with a second to catch up brother Brett. He was trying to stop himself smiling, but he couldn't help it in the end.
And it's Jennings the provider this time. Lovely little offload through the line, got his hands free through the collision, and Morris the recipient. But I love to see try scored directly from the scrums. A backline play there, the space created in part by Thurston, but the real gap created by Jennings, for his co-centre Josh Morris, and he crosses, and again his dad saying that's 4 my lads have got today.
Thanks, mate.
It's not a bad record they have at the moment, is it? 2 tries in 1 appearance for Josh Morris, 4 tries in 3 appearances for slightly younger twin brother Brett Morris.
Tell you, since Jonathan Thurston's come back on the field he had a little spell off the field, and it was Lockyer and Cooper Cronk. Lockyer then took a spell off, and Thurston and Cronk now. Thurston's been exceptional, he really has, and he's probed and he's opened up this French defence on a number of occasions.
So Thurston, 5 yards in from the touchline, looking to curl it in. Just about. And it's 42 points to 4 now. 34 points scored in this second half by the Aussies.
Yeah, they've righted a lot of wrongs of the Australians performance-wise in this second half, and you can feel the confidence growing them, just as Thurston's performance has got better. So the Australians have, and they'll go into the final next week in great heart.
Bosk with a restart. Man of the match today, by the way, is Michael Jennings, we're just being told. Hat-trick of tries today on his Test debut. It's the local press, the French press, who choose the man of the match, and that's the man they've picked out. And with reasonable reason as well.
Yeah, I think he's had a very good Test debut. It just shows, doesn't it, what depth they've got in the three quarters, the Australians. There's two guys on debut in Josh Morris and Jennings, who've been exceptional. They've got Inglis waiting on the sideline, and the production line is never ending.
And they've not bothered to bring Folau because he's injured.
And there's a guy called Idris at Canterbury Bankstown who ain't a bad player as well.
Yeah, they've got a few in the three quarters. They've got a few all over the pitch. Here come the French, trying to show they've got a few as well. Seb Martin held up 5 yards away, wins at dummy half. Ferrier with a dummy run, back it goes to Molly. Molly out to Bosk. Bosk now looks what his options are. Green Shields on the left-hand side, dances in. Chopped down by the tackle of Cronk. Bosk. 5 yards out. Can the French score a cheery try before this game is done? Bosk, Molly, Ragan. Thurston's there to ensure the tackle is good. And it was a handover, that was a sixth tackle.
Yeah, it was a power play on the last tackle. They may well have been better just trying to push the ball into the goal line and get another set, but they took the odds. But once again, this Australian defence was first class, and the only try they have scored has been created by the boot of Thomas Bosk, which may be an indication for either England or New Zealand, whoever are going to play them next week at Ellen Road.
Tony Smith ringing the changes, of course, for that England game tonight. Here's Farah. Farah again. Now Thurston. Thurston with a little chip over the top. They're after it once more here. Gidley eventually pulled down, but he's picked himself up to get the pass away, and Thurston wants to get on with it too, but Seb Ragan makes sure he can't do much with it. This is a sixth tackle. Cronk kicking to the right-hand side. Oh, it's taken superbly well by Pello. Fantastic take, and here comes a run. Dimitri Pello over the 30, towards the 40. Ducks underneath the tackle of Waterhouse, and eventually put down.
Penalty there, and rightly so, for a high tackle on Pello. But I've been singing the praise of the Australian side with opening the defence up with some beautiful passing plays. There's an array of kicks there. There was a lovely one from Thurston, a chip kick. Then that was a superb kick actually from Cronk. But that skill there from Pello to defuse the threat of that lateral kick was superb, and he earned his reward with a good kick return, a high tackle and good field position. And here go the French.
Bosk getting it on again. To Chagas has got a ball away as well, and Molly is eventually put down only 10 yards away, but there's a real determination, a flame burning bright in amongst this French team, right to the end. Out to Pello. He knew he was going out of play, trying to get it back inside for Elima, and he in turn has been put out.
There's a flame burning bright as well in the Australian defensive system as well, and commitment. First class this. Offload there. Pello thought he got half a chance, but wrapped up by Jennings. That's a comprehensive ball and all tackle there to take him over the sideline. Superb defensive work. Only 4 tackles missed all game. You've got to compliment the French defensive work as well, which just shows how well the Australians have played in opening them up, putting players through gaps or little kicks behind the defensive line to open it up. They've played really well, you know, Australia, as the game's wore on, Dave.
Like you say, momentum gathered ahead of next week.
Back here, come on! Come on, Clint, you work harder than that, Clint!
Thurston.
That's Roberts, Clint. Come on. 2, Baboon! Hold, go.
The referee keeps shouting "to Baboon" every time that the second time. Can you explain that? Sure, listeners back at home will be wondering what he's going on about. Baboon, what does that mean?
Well, allegedly, Dave, I'm here for my rugby league knowledge.
Is that not part of the contract? Understanding what the referee's saying. Down the middle from Jennings, who's searching a fourth. Most number of tries scored in a Test match by an Australian is 4. It's been done by 6 players. The last of those was Wendell Saylor back in 2000. So Michael Jennings would love to get a 4th, but not just yet. Time is ticking away.
Composure there from Greenshield, but I'll tell you one thing that Brett Morris does. He must be one of the best kick chasers in the game, because every time a kick's put down the Australian left-hand side, his foot goes straight down on the accelerator and he puts pressure on whoever's receiving the ball.
It's Bentley out from dummy half. This is Wynn. The scrum half from Lesignan. Bentley. Bosk. France finding no purchase in the middle here. Oh, it's an offload. Go backwards, the referee says. Farah. Here's Wynn. Bosk. And Lima. Oh, Pelot was just knocked on as the ball was arrowed towards him.
Yeah, it's a disappointing end there, but it'd have been nice if Elmer could have got Dimitri Pelot away, because he's been very, very lively, the French wingman, although he's worn number 4. Very, very lively indeed, a bit of a handful. But the compliment to the Australian defence is how well they have handled him, and everything else that France have thrown at them. I think they've been very expansive. I think they've played some good rugby league of France, but the Australian defence has been awesome, and the second half they've looked after the ball, they've cut the headers out, and it's been a really good second half display from the green and gold side.
Final 12 seconds of the game. Do the Aussies finish with a flourish? Thurston hopes to, with a little kick downfield, and the bending back of Morris couldn't get low enough, Brett Morris, and it goes out of play, and that will be it. Hooter sounds. It was highly unsatisfactory from the Australians in the first half, but in the second period they really did hit the straps and find the momentum that carries them into that Four Nations final next week now, as you would have to say, clear favourites to win it. They had their heroes today, the Morris twins, 2 tries apiece, one of those on Josh on debut, Jennings with 3 tries as well. Comprehensive victory for Australia in the end, despite the French resistance. Australia 42, France 4.
And so Australia's record against France goes on. They have won, well, every meeting since 1978. They've won their last 14 meetings now. But a spirited display by the French, and they certainly worried the Australians a little bit. Man of the match was Michael Jennings, and for you, Justin, he was your star of the show.
I thought he was excellent in his debut to score 3 tries. He's very, very solid defensively as well. And you get very nervous no matter who you're playing against in your first game, and he'll be very, very happy with his performance.